Politics doesn't fix anything. That much we know. You give power to the state, what does the state do? It abuses it, uses it in stupid ways.
The decay in the jobs market has been very overwhelmingly obvious. We never really recovered out of the lockdown period. A lot of what we're faced right now is kind of this terrible thicket of compliance. We should be willing as intellectuals to open the window, look and see what's going on, try to understand the things you didn't anticipate. That's what excites me most.
Wealth and capitalism is glorious.
Wow, what an event, huh? Isn't it just remarkable? Oh, thanks. I left my cape backstage. Listen, I tell you what, I'm having a hard time getting used to. I'll just be honest with you. I'm having a hard time getting used to being hopeful. Like, actually hopeful. I've not felt this in years. 4 years, precisely. It's been a very dark time in our lives and the life of our country. From the lockdowns, through the mandates, to the destruction of small business, the brutalization of the children with the mask mandates and the school closures and the surveillance and all these terrible things. It was a couple years ago, I was on a show you might know called The War Room. You know, Steve Bannon, right? The philosopher king of MAGA, I would say. And in the break, we were talking, and I said, Steve, what are we going to do? Everything, civilization itself seems to be collapsing around us. Between the spying, the pillaging, the poisoning of the public, I'm not sure I understand whether we have a system in place to deal with this. And he looked at me, and it was in the commercial break, he looked at me and he said, I always remember these words, he said, "What man has made, man can unmake." We're going to unmake this disaster, and we're going to rebuild for freedom. Wow. So I wanted to believe that. But I wasn't sure. Election night was quite something, wasn't it? That was a revolution. That was a regime change within the democratic form. And we've watched over the last several days how this works itself out in practice with the debate over the budget. What a beautiful thing that was to see the free media of X employed in service of the people. It was glorious. So I'm very hopeful. I'm very excited. The House Subcommittee on Weaponization of Government just came out with a new report. Did you see it? 17,000 pages of things that the Biden administration was doing over the last 4 years to weaponize government. I know I've not read it. I don't know how anybody could, 17,000 pages. But it's just the beginning, and you know, we all know it. How many of you in this room know this term debanking? You know this term debank? This is when your bank sends you a letter suddenly and says, we're not going to work with you anymore. Enclosed, you'll find your funds, find a new bank. People don't talk about it because it's deeply embarrassing. It's terrible when it happens to you and you're having to scramble to find a new bank. They never explain to you why it's happened. We didn't know until Melania Trump's book came out that this happened to Melania. It happened to Melania and Barron. They were both debanked in January of 2021. And until Mark Andreessen did an interview, I think it was with Joe Rogan, or maybe it was Tucker Carlson, pointed out that there hasn't been anybody in the world of crypto and Bitcoin that hasn't faced debanking. The companies, the individuals, it's brutal. It's a form of terrible coercion that doesn't use guns. They don't have to show up to your house. They just unplug your ability to live a normal life. They never have to explain why. This was a Biden administration policy. They've been waging war against many new industries, particularly in the cryptocurrency space. And what it's done is it's driven a lot of capital out of the country. Most countries in the world are desperately clamoring for Bitcoin companies and crypto companies to come there, rolling out the red carpet to all the innovators. The US has been waging a war on these companies ever since this technology was invented. And it's been brutal and terrible. Fortunately, the Trump administration is swearing to change that. I hope we're going to. So far as I'm concerned, blockchain technology and cryptocurrency is one of the great innovations, certainly in the history of modernity, maybe of all time, because it introduces the possibility of dramatic freedom in which individuals themselves can fully control their financial lives. And it's a beautiful vision, beautiful vision. So now I want to tell you about a friend of mine. His name is Roger Ver, V-E-R. He was the first American entrepreneur, maybe in the world, to really see the potential of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. He knew it from 2010. I didn't know it. I had been seeing attempts at digital currency come and go. I became dismissive of all these things at some point. It took me 2 years later before I realized what was really going on with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And when I saw it, it was a revelation. You know, this is the best innovation in thousands of years, as far as I could tell. But he knew it from 2010. He became an investor, early investor in cryptocurrency, in BitPay, and later in Kraken and Ripple. And he helped develop the very first self-custody wallet online with blockchain.info, which I think has changed its name to blockchain.com now. A brilliant innovator and a great humanitarian who cares about one thing more than anything else, and that is the topic of human freedom. And I became his friend, a great man, a great idealist, a tremendous humanitarian who's been helping people all over this country and all over the world and donating to pro-freedom causes. Just a tremendous, real American. But in 2013, the Treasury, US Treasury Department, through the office called FinCEN, sent out a single-page PDF to, well, all over the country. They issued an edict. No legislation, just an edict. Classic administrative state thing. And what it said was that from now on, the US Treasury Department would control all the on-ramps and off-ramps for anything related to cryptocurrency. And in that instant, they destroyed possibly more than 10,000 budding businesses in the United States and consolidated the entire industry to just a handful of companies that could comply with these regulations. That was in 2013. In 2014, my friend Roger Ver said, you know what? I love freedom, I love America, I love free enterprise, I love innovation, and I want this to be my life. I don't think I can do that in the United States. So he took up citizenship in a small country called St. Kitts. Very beautiful place, great place, but like a lot of entrepreneurs in the space, he left. Sad about that. We hope to bring him back. My goal is that next year he's going to take this spot on this stage speaking to this audience. I hope he does. I'm glad to give up my space for him. But I'll tell you what happened about 3 months ago. He released a new book on the topic of Bitcoin, and he was attending a conference in Spain. And a man came up to him and said, "Are you Roger Ver?" He said, "Yes." "Roger Ver?" "Yes." "Well, I'm with Interpol, acting on behalf of the US Treasury, and you're under arrest. And they threw him in a Spanish prison in Spain for a month. And now he's in Spain right now as we're here, and he waits extradition to the US to face possibly 100 years in jail the rest of his life. For what? Well, as with Melania, as with Bannon, as with Donald Trump himself, it's all about the valuation that he placed on Bitcoin when he left the country. So they're using the tax system as a form of lawfare. As an example, to the rest of the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency world, don't you dare innovate. Don't you dare think you can act on your own without permission of the US government. They're trying to throw him in jail. And I'm here to tell you that would be a terrible tragedy. He's awaiting extradition right now. Again, his name is Roger Ver. We've started a petition on his behalf. You can sign it. That'll help. freerogernow.org. You can go there and sign that thing. But I tell you what, after Inauguration Day, we're going to see the American version of Bastille Day. The people from January 6th are going to be out of prison, right? We're going to free the victims of lawfare in this country. Just like Donald Trump is a victim of lawfare, so is Ross Ulbricht. So is even Ian Freeman. So, yeah, free Ross. And you know, Roger Ver funded Ross Ulbricht's defense for years. He was the benefactor. That's why they call him Bitcoin Jesus. I would like to see Roger Ver's name on that list. Do you agree with that? Get that man back. Free Roger Ver. He's a great man, and I'll tell you something else, because I know him personally. And this is a little bit emotional for me, because the world over the last 4 years, over some long time, has become a pretty dark place as far as I'm concerned. Lacking in ideals, lacking in a vision of freedom, lacking in basic ethics and morality. Roger Ver has never given up his ideals. When you talk to him now, and he was interviewed on Tucker Carlson the other day, and it was inspiring. This man fundamentally believes in the morality, the goodness, efficacy, and power of the idea of individual liberty, first and foremost, above everything else. That's all that drives him. It's not money. It's innovation on behalf of the great project of emancipation. Let me just conclude with this remark. That word emancipation, I like it. That's what it feels like these days. I feel like we're undergoing an emancipation as a country from the ruling class, from the administrative state, from the deep state, from the lawfare, from the financial terrorism that has so oppressed our best minds. The future, my friends, I'm so happy to say, and I can't believe it. I can't believe I can say it. The future finally looks bright again. Can you imagine? As I say, I'm having a hard time getting used to it. It's exciting. It's wonderful. Let me just conclude with this. Again, I want to see Roger Ver on the stage. I want you to welcome him next year with open arms. I want him to be a free man. I want Donald Trump to issue a pardon for this man, along with all the others. Roger Ver, freerogervernow.org. Thank you very much for listening to me. All the best. Yeah, free Ross, too.